If you haven't had an opportunity to head to our Spotify, make sure you check out the last episode where we did a debrief and a reflection of the previous month. And I introduced to you the themes of belonging, culture, and identity. So excited to get into that today with you. Welcome to the Leisure is Living podcast, where we explore what it really means to live and not just exist through the lens of leisure, through recreation, and radical rest. I'm your host, Jessie Jones, certified therapeutic recreation specialist and the founder of JJRT, and where we believe that leisure isn't a luxury, it is a way of life. So each month we explore a theme that invites us to slow down, reflect, and reconnect with what makes us feel most alive. This month we're exploring identity, belonging, and culture, how our sense of self, our communities, and even our rituals around living and dying shape the way we experience leisure. Today's guest embodies this intersection beautifully. She's a laughter yoga instructor, a death thought leader, and an entrepreneur who invites people to explore life's heaviest and lightest moments with curiosity, compassion, and courage. Her name is Jenna Goodhand, and together we're going to explore what it means to laugh, grieve, and live all in the same breath. But, before we dive in, I do want to reflect on how laughter and death show up in research on well-being and leisure. Studies in positive psychology have shown that laughter is one of the most universal human expressions of joy and connection. It reduces stress hormones, boosts immune function, and strengthens social bonds. And yet, many of us are finding ourselves disconnected from laughter, and we're navigating grief or loss. At the same time, movements like death cafes and the growing field of death literacy remind us that creating space to talk about mortality can deepen our sense of meaning and even our capacity of joy. So what happens when we bring these worlds together? Laughter and death, joy and endings, leisure and loss. That's what Jenna and I are going to unpack together today. Hi, Jenna.
Hey, Jess.
Welcome to the Leisure is Living podcast.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy you're here too. I'm so excited to get into it. So I'm going to just get right into it with my first question.
Awesome.
For listeners who might not know you yet, how would you describe yourself? And not by your job titles, but by the way you live.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that because job titles is hard for me.
Yeah, I feel like I actually really relate with that.
Yeah.
Every time I have to do a business card rendition, I never know. I literally never know what to put down. I'm like, creative director, owner, founder, musician. I'm like, and then if you put them all, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah. So I love your question. I am here to gain as many experiences as possible. That's how I live my life. I want to try everything. I want to see what I don't like. I want to see what surprises me that I love. I want to have hard times. I want to move through them. I just want to have so many experiences. That's what I'm here for.
That's incredible. And I'm all in for that. I love living life for that reason. Even the hard stuff. I think people don't lean into the hard stuff enough. And I'm like, even the hard stuff is an experience that we can learn from and take away and become interesting versions of ourselves. I don't want to say better. I was about to say better versions of ourselves, but I'm actually trying to not do that because, it's not always about being better. Sometimes it's just about being.
Yeah, I really love that approach because I think we try to separate things as this is good or this is bad all the time, but a hard experience can be both.
Yeah.
Right? It can be both. And I think with a lot of the topics we're going to talk about today, people really struggle with, I've got to pick a lane, I got to pick a mood, I got to pick, this is how I'm showing up to this. But you can be lots of different things at once, and that's okay. And when you live in that way, you're not as hard on yourself. You give yourself more freedom to play and to move through things. And so, yeah, when challenges come up, it's like okay, this is a moment. This is a moment to take a break and see what don't I like about this? What could I do about it? It is a chance to grow, right?
I love that. It reminds me of a moment along my journey where I actually started to ask myself, what would it look like if I just said yes to the thing or no to the thing? And it was the first time when I realized I actually don't like cream and sugar in my coffee. Something as simple as that. But when you'd been doing it for so long, you forget that maybe I just don't want this much sugar in my coffee. And what would it look like to be a person that drinks black coffee? And it gets exciting because when you wake up, you're like, do I want to wear this? Maybe I don't. So yeah, I love that that's a take and approach you take. So I would like to talk a little bit about your leadership in thoughts around death.
Yeah.
This is I'm trying to think of titles. Speaking of, choosing what we do and how we do it, let's talk about how that came about.
Amazing.
How did you find your way into laughter yoga and death thought leadership? Two practices that on the surface, they really do seem very different. But in many ways, I think they do share a deep truth about life. So tell me about that.
Yeah, every time I have conversations with people about this, I learn more about myself.
Okay,
I learn more about how did I end up here. And so some of the things I may say right now may be coming out for the first time.
like me trying to formulate a thought that I was like, I actually don't know how to intro this.
Yeah, absolutely. So since I was really young, actually, when I was very young, I struggled with suicidal, ideations and things like that. And when I kind of came through that, I was still quite young. I was probably 18, 19 when I decided, hey, I think I'm going to stick around and do this life thing. And so I had felt very close to death. Death had been very present in a certain way in my life. And after that, I started to see life as a gift, right? Before that when you're young and you're a kid, you just kind of are here, right? Mm-hmm. And so I sort of was on this journey yeah, I'm going to do this. Death can take me out at some point. I don't need to decide that. I'm going to just show up and see how far I can get. And so in that, I kind of became, really into personal development and, my career with coaching and things like that. And I thought the ultimate goal in our life is really the end. When you think about how do I want people to remember me? What do I want to avoid having regrets about? Who do I want to be as a person? And so death became this motivator for me. Instead of motivated to die, it was I was motivated by death.
Oh, I love that.
Right? And so it's been this powerful thing kind of on my shoulder my whole life. Obviously, I've struggled with, oh my gosh, I got to do everything before I die. And what if I don't get everything done?
That was the first thing that just came into my brain, though, was how do you slow your pace to recognize when death is pushing you along too quickly?
Yeah.
Right? How do you say, okay, yes, death, love that you're there, love that you're motivating me, but I really just want to savor this moment and I don't want to rush to the next thing.
Yeah, you said it. So it's really remembering life is not about accomplishments as a primary. It's about relationships, right? It's about the experiences that we have with each other. So when I do get caught up in that hustle of got to get everything done before I die, it's okay, something's missing because I'm not here to just check boxes. Yeah. I'm here to create lasting memories and to feel, right? Sometimes in the doing, we're not feeling. We're feeling anxiety. We're feeling that rush. We're feeling that push. And so it is that balance of I'm not going to be complacent with my life, but I'm also not going to let anxiety lead me. And so it wasn't until maybe my mid-20s, I started to talk to people about death, and they really were not receptive. It could be because they were all also in their 20s. But then during the pandemic, when death, whether we wanted it to or not, was just on the news, it was everywhere. It was this constant conversation. I kept saying, I really want to have a podcast on death. And people were I would listen to that. And it was it had been brought into their consciousness that they didn't know about death, didn't talk about death. Death could come. And so I think that was 3 years ago. So yeah.
That's incredible.
It's called We Are All Dying. And honestly, that's what it's about. It's we're all dying and let's talk about it.
And I love that because prior to the show today, I was talking to Trish and Sahil about, your work in death. And I was it's really cool because death is the one thing that we're all guaranteed, that and taxes. And it's we all are going to experience it, but yet nobody really wants to talk about it. And I remember at one of our Fresh Talks, when we had you as a guest and it was all about death, it was really liberating to face it head on, to look at it in its eyes, because you had said something about when we don't give something so much power, it's easier to work with.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, when we're afraid of something, it's because it's in us.
Yeah.
But we've probably all experienced that moment where we find somebody and we share this thing that maybe felt shameful or even guilty or afraid of. And someone's like, me too. And you're like, what? And then you have this conversation.
My whole entire body just lit up because it's true.
Yeah. And you feel less alone. It has less control over you. And so the fear of death, though, because we don't talk about it, and when it happens, it's such a big thing. Like, it's such a big thing when it happens in our lives. This big thing is in us. And so it's hard, like, where do you even start? How do you even, like, start to bring it out a little bit? Yeah. And so that's what I'm hoping to do is just, like, bring it out in subtle ways, sometimes funny ways in which people can start to have conversations about death with each other. Yeah. So that when it happens, it doesn't become something that you become isolated in.
Oh, I love that. And it kind of segues perfectly into my next question. My next question is, what does leisure mean to you personally? And the reason I'm finding a connection here is because much like death, we sometimes just don't know what to do with time. We don't know what to do with ourselves when we have time. And it's a very similar conversation we have with people when you say, well, what do you love to do? What brings you joy? What brings you the thing? And they're like, oh my God, I love this. Me too. And then you find that camaraderie in leisure. And just like death, I find when we are able to face something so expansive and large, like leisure is so broad that people just, I think sometimes we just don't realize how much of a gift it is in that death has been for you in learning that this is it. This is our one life. Like, let's do it. That's how I feel about leisure. So, like, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, probably a lot of the same themes in that we're going to die. Most people are not going to remember us. Like,
no, I know. I've actually just came up, like, I just had that full connection the other day where I was like, holy shit, like, at least 2 generations away from me are going to be like, who? Great-grandma who? Like, no one's going to remember Jess Jones.
Right?
I know.
So they're not going to remember if you wanted to be a puppeteer. They're not going to remember if you tried stand-up comedy and you were awful. They're not going to remember you if you tried art and it's just like no one gets in. Like, no one's going to remember the things that you tried, but you're going to remember that you never tried. And
ooh,
so,
nice
like,
one.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So death gives you that opportunity to be like, can I swear?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to die.
I appreciate that so much.
We're going to die. Do the things.
Yeah.
And the worst that can happen is you die. Which you're going to do anyways. But most things that we try do not have the risk of death. They have the risk of,
I love this. I love
shame,
this.
Embarrassment, maybe like people don't think you're cool. Maybe you lose a little money. But like, to be honest, a lot of things that we want to try, they're very accessible to us to just try today.
Yeah. Okay, so now that the conversation's going, my mind's just like, beep, 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 beep. So last night so I started a pickleball league.
Nice.
I know. It's been a lot of fun. And I cheated a little bit because I started a league, but it was really just recruiting my slow pitch team. So it's the same ladies. But anyways, after every pickleball game, we go and we have a few drinks and food together and we just laugh and hang out. And it's honestly become one of my favorite days when I wake up and realize it's Wednesday. It's like, it's Wednesday. But where I'm heading with this is a conversation came up about savings and RSPs and like everybody brought it up and everyone's like, oh my God, like pension this, pension that. Because let's face it, like I'm in my 40s and the people I'm hanging out with are like in and around that age group too. And a lot of us are starting to have those questions about like, man, like time's ticking. Like how much time do we all really have left? And one of the things they had brought up was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to have enough money for retirement. And hang on with me here. Because I said, you know what? I'll be really honest with all our listeners, with you, with everybody, that like I haven't been saving for retirement. It's just something that hasn't been an accessible thing for me. Like as an entrepreneur, someone who is constantly just trying to reinvent and build, it's just not something that's always been able for me to do. And I said, but I've actually looked at it from that death perspective that I know so many people who did the thing and saved and saved and saved, and then they retired and they died the next day. And I have this mentality that I'd rather just show up, live, spend the money, spend the good time with friends, laugh until my belly hurts, and I'll figure it out. I always have figured out. I think that's the entrepreneur in us, is that I'm not actually too worried. Like, my retirement plan is getting my master's and doing psychology sessions, in my little cabin by the lake, doing art. And that sounds good to me until I'm like as old as I can be.
Yeah.
So like, what's that take for you? Do you agree? Like, what do you think?
Absolutely. I think one of the things that I think we both appreciate is the power of imagination.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
When you tap into imagination, you can literally do anything because you can just imagine yourself being any version of yourself and you don't actually have to do anything.
I love that.
Yeah, anyone listening, like, if you're afraid to leave your job, start something new, try something, just like imagine it. Just imagine yourself doing it. You don't have to do it.
No, just imagine it.
Yeah.
I imagine being fit all the time. I mean, I'm trying to work towards it, but you're right. Like, I really do. I've heard a lot of really interesting podcasts and read books that say if there's somebody that you admire and you want to be more like, then start to look at the traits and behaviors of that person. Like, what are they doing? What's their day-to-day like? And start to do some of those things. And imagining is so powerful. It's the vision, right? Creating that vision.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love this. And it's such what a perfect segue, because I want to talk about identity with you.
Cool.
And who you are in your work and in your leisure. How do those worlds overlap, or do they blur?
That's a really interesting question. So this morning I was actually trying to personify myself as in one of my businesses.
Okay.
Because I was noticing I was struggling to show up as myself because I thought this business is not as much like me, and I don't necessarily want it to be me forever. So I was like, do I want to wear a wig? What does this person wear? I know. I was really trying to explore
you really are imagining.
Yeah. I was like,
this.
because I also struggle with this idea of there's so much I want to share with the world, and I really want to be in relationship with the world, but I also don't want anyone to know who I am. And so
that's a paradox,
right? So I was like, maybe I, get one of those covers my face hairstyles, and then when I go in public, people don't know I'm the same person. So identity is such a fun thing to play with.
I know, I agree.
And so I think I've been fortunate, in some ways, in that I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. It's been since I was 18. And so I've always kind of been myself there or not there, whether it was work or not. And a lot of the work I do is, here's how I live, and I hope it can help you too. So I'm kind of bringing in my life to the group, hey group, do you want to try living your life like this with me and see how it feels? Mm-hmm. And so I think identity for me, one thing I've had to actually navigate is it's constantly changing. I'm constantly changing, I'm constantly growing, and that's part of the work I'm supposed to do because I'm trying to help other people grow. So I have very many versions of myself, and grieving that, grieving versions of myself, or identity versions of myself, or even I think the scariest part and the most exciting part is the imagination piece, which is, how do I live as the person I'm becoming? And then you get there and you're like, okay, now what? Who am I becoming again? Right?
I think I struggle with that every single day when someone says, oh, you're the CEO of JJRT.
Totally.
And I'm like, oh, don't use that title, because I don't know what it means. I still haven't fit myself into that identity. And I was actually having this conversation with one of our team members about my whole life. Even though I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset, my entire life I've been a worker. And I'm very task related. You give me a job, I will work hard, labor-based hard. I love work. And when I started to take on more management opportunities and now leading an organization, I still have trouble with holding space and not doing the work, lifting, the actual lifting.
Yep.
And it's been really hard for me because I identify as someone who's lifting the thing and bringing it to you and here you go.
Yeah.
And now I have to learn how to rework that as my identity. And what does that look like for us, right? As leaders and sharing and sharing space and hopefully getting people stoked about the vision we have. And
well, something you said made me think of this, which is similarly, I was always one of those I can do it, give it to me, I'll run with it.
That's me
and
too.
So I one of the values I had of myself was that I'm a hard worker. So then now when you're kind of in this position where you're giving the hard workers the work to do, it's sometimes I'm am I doing anything?
Oh my God. Literally every single day. And I think Benji said, you have to stop saying that because you are working really hard and we see how hard you're working. But because there's not a visual of the work we do. A lot of the work we do now is mental load.
Yep.
I have this fear that the team doesn't see me physically working, therefore equals not productive.
Yep.
And it goes back to everything we explore here as an organization with leisure and productivity and the hustle culture and learning to slow down. And you and I just recently had that like very small interception conversation about hustle and like, let's remind each other to slow. But then when you're in a world of business where everybody's demanding things of you, you're like, it's so much. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So also just remembering like we are going through an identity evolution where we're trying to now match the work we do with the value of us. So I don't have that answer. I just know that that's where we are, where we have to find new values for ourselves because it's not a tangible thing where we can show it. But maybe it's around how happy is our team? How meaningful do they feel? Do they know that the work that they're doing, like, can we then be the people who used to clap for us, right? Like, like who were those people?
Do you ever think about when we were in those positions where we were the ones doing the heavy lifting, what we wish we would have had more of? Because that's how I kind of always think about how can I be a better leader to my team? And I go back to thinking when I was the one lifting the heavy thing, what do I wish my leader had done for me or said to me? Or maybe it is literally coming across and saying, let me help you lift that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that the thing that first came to mind, I'm just going to share it.
Yeah, I love that.
I think I felt disposable. Oh. Yeah, I think I felt like could be anybody. Like, you know what I mean?
But again, that's the leadership though.
Yeah.
That I think that time, that cohort of leaders, they thought was good leadership was like, I remember, so I have many lives as do you. And when I was a chef working in the restaurant industry, I remember one of my head chefs said, you're a hole in a bucket of water. And I was about 21, 22 years old, and I had no clue what that meant. I was literally like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I went home to my husband, Andy, and I was like, he says I'm a hole in a bucket of water. Like, what does that even mean? And he goes, babe, like, oh my gosh, come on. Literally, you put your hand in a bucket of water and you remove it and it fills up. Like you're dispensable. Like it doesn't matter if it's you or the chef next door. He's going to get that person to do the work and doesn't care about you. And that stuck with me.
Absolutely.
Because now as I'm leading a team of almost 15 incredible individuals, it's like all I care about every single day is making sure that they feel heard, seen, valued, and not to a place where I'm like, what do you need? What do you need? But like really empowering them to move into spaces that I wasn't given the opportunity to move into.
Yep. Yeah. And I think like that would have hurt.
When you, oh my gosh, I know.
Because it made me think of this one time. My neighbor's dad was like cleaning a pool and I was just like standing there and he was like, be more than a pretty face and like do something. And I'm like, so my whole life I was like, be productive, be useful, like don't just stand there, like do something. So it created this anxiety in me my whole life of like, do something, don't just stand around.
Again, like contributing to our identity and like who we've become or who we're trying to unbecome and unlearn things that we didn't necessarily need to learn. And unfortunately, that was the time in which we grew up. And interesting stuff. Okay, let's change the pace a little bit. I want to talk about laughter as a cultural and spiritual practice with you. Many people see laughter yoga as playful or even silly. But you approach it as something sacred. And so I want to ask, what does laughter represent for you?
Yeah, so I'm gonna tell a bit of a sad child story to start with, to just kind of like show people kind of how I ended up here and why I think it's so important, because I've realized that I'm not the only one with this story. Okay. So I grew up in a household that was very serious. Both parents were working. It was very stressful. They're great parents, but like laughter wasn't really there. And being silly was really frustrating and annoying to my parents. And as a parent, I understand how sometimes it can be a lot when you're trying to navigate everything. So at dinner, because things were so serious, it would make me laugh. And so my father would not want me laughing. And so I would leave the room and I would go to the next door room and I would laugh into the carpet because I didn't want him to hear me laughing. So then eventually I learned how to laugh with no sound. But I never thought about it. Yeah, I know, isn't that so sad? This child who's just like, that has no sound for the laughter. But I was still me. So I didn't lose the laughter. It just had no sound. So then as I got older, one day I found out about laughter yoga And so I went to host my first laughter yoga session and nothing came out of my mouth. It was awful. It was awful. It was so uncomfortable. And I don't even remember what noises were coming out. But I left and I was like, where's the sound? And so I went back and realized like I don't have a sound in my laugh. So now I can laugh in all sorts of weird ways that are just so expressive because I realized like this is part of my healing. And as I've shared this story in some of the sessions, people are like, that was me too. And or, parents say, oh, you know what, I'm gonna stop telling my kids to stop laughing. Like, because sometimes we do that, right? It's late, go to bed.
Oh yeah, I'm totally.
I've done it too.
Hands up.
Yeah, I've
Or
totally
you've
done
had
that.
enough. I'm overstimulated, and I'm like, can you stop? Like, I don't want to hear anybody.
Yeah.
And then my daughter, both of them, but the oldest, she's good, and she's like, you constantly say all we do is fight. All we do is fight, Mom. And the one time that my sister and I are rolling laughing, you tell us to stop. I said, I don't know what I want.
It's timing.
It is timing.
It is timing.
But you remind me of when you said you went to the other room and you like hid your face. My relation to that is not as sad, but I do remember having sleepovers with friends where their mothers would literally come in and be like, it's 2 a.m, you need to go to sleep. And it would make us laugh even harder.
So
We'd
much.
put the pillows over our face because it was that uncontrollable laughter where everything hurt, but you couldn't stop laughing because the more angry they got, the more we would laugh. Oh my God, I love that. And I'm also laughing and smiling big right now because I've been a participant of your laughter yoga. And you're right about being able to make ridiculous sounds.
Yep.
It really allows that vulnerability to show up, but look around and say like, this is so fun and everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
I think at one part when we were together, it was such a trip. And I say that word intentionally because at one point I didn't know if people were genuinely laughing or they were laughing still from the exercise. And then I didn't know. And then I would just laugh harder because I was like, I don't know if everybody's laughing or not laughing anymore.
Yeah. Well, let me share for people who don't know what laughter yoga is.
Yeah.
And are like, what are they talking about? Yeah. So laughter yoga is essentially deep breathing with laughter exercises.
Yeah.
And a laughter exercise is just mimicking laughter, whether it's real or, made up.
Yeah.
With the benefit of all the same things you get from real laughter. And what I love about that story of you as a kid at sleepovers and the laughing is like, it's very relatable, but also it emphasizes the social connection that laughter brings.
Yeah.
Like versus one kid laughing in the carpet by themselves and like 7 children laughing in their pillows. Like, right? Because you were together.
True.
It was, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So then you must see laughter as a kind of communal ritual, a way for people to belong or connect across differences.
100%.
Tell me about that.
I love it. This makes me so jazzed. So,
Okay.
I had an experience recently. I was doing a laughter session at the YMCA.
Yeah.
And a lot of the group that had come that day, they didn't speak English or English was a new language to them.
Okay.
So at first I was like, how's this going to go?
Yeah, I was so curious about that. I'm glad you're talking about this.
I had a lot of instructions to give, but I had nothing. I had nothing but my hands and my face and my laugh. And we had the most amazing time together. I think we laughed more because that's all we had.
Ooh.
And what was really cool at the end is I realized like laughter is a language of its own. You don't have to, it goes beyond socioeconomic classes, experiences, like age, like laughter is universal and it can connect us no matter what.
Yes.
And in places or, times of life where you feel like you're not a part of something, these laughter groups, you can show up. No one's going to be like, you're cool, you're not. We're all weird.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think giving permission to people to do that is the best.
Yeah.
So I guess then my next question is like, what have you noticed about the relationship between authenticity and laughter and those moments when laughter reveals who we really are?
Yeah, like it makes me think. So I'm really, really happy. I've been doing these consistent laughter sessions at a retirement home nearby. And there's a couple women in the group who like, when we look at each other, we are really laughing. And it's like, I feel this one woman, I was like, if we were younger, we would have those sleepovers. Like I remember thinking that about her this week where we just can't stop laughing. And I think one, it reveals where people are tight in themselves. Maybe they don't say it. Maybe they barely show it, but you know that that's kind of where they're like, I'm really holding on.
Yeah.
How do I laugh and look cool? How do I laugh and, not.
It goes back to the identity of who we are.
When you really laugh authentically, you are
you.
You are you. And you can't, the thinking is gone.
Oh my God. So this reminds me, my brother, he's going to kill me. My brother, when he was little, I don't want to say he struggled with identity because we all have those struggles. But I think as part of his exploration with identity, he tried.
I can't wait.
He's seriously going to kill me. He experimented with different types of laughter. And so my mom and I were literally like, oh, okay, so this is the new laughter. But it was fun because one day, you would say something and he'd be like, ooh, and I'm like, what is that? That's not even real. Yeah. And it became this consistent thing for him that he's like, I'm just trying to figure out which one I like. And I'm like, what do you mean which one you like? You only have one way to laugh, which then reminds me of me growing up because I have always had a loud laugh. And many times, I won't lie, I've been diminished by being told, like, don't laugh so loud. You're so loud. Do you always laugh that loud? Yeah. Or like, oh my gosh, I can hear you. Like, that's the other thing I would always get is like, I can hear you all the way down the hall. Your laughter is so loud. And then that's one group of people that have literally trailed with me my whole life. And then you got the other group of people who are like, your laughter is so contagious. I wish I had you in my pocket everywhere I went. And I was like, oh. Like, do you get that? Like,
yeah.
Does this all make sense?
Well, I want to say that what your brother did is really common.
It is.
It's actually common that people try to figure out what their laugh is.
That's so interesting.
And part of the reason is because we notice that people's laughs are different. So we're like, okay, and whether it comes from, oh, we think they picked them or what, but we recognize like it's not a consistent, this is how we all do it in this culture or in this family. You can just kind of make it up. So I actually love that he does that.
Yeah.
Or did it.
He does. I don't think he still
Forever,
does.
he's just like.
I feel like this is where I wish we had live calling. Like, let's call him right now and find out. Like,
see what happens.
Hi there. Christopher, tell me about if you are still creating laughter. Maybe he is. You never know.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about death work, grief, and the leisure of letting go. You also hold space for people to talk about death. Again, something I've actually been able to share with you. Many things we've done together. But death is something that a lot of us avoid. Well, the act of, I would imagine. Most of us are avoiding the act of death. But I think we're also avoiding having to talk about it. But how did that work begin for you?
Mm-hmm. So I had this visual of having like a large amount of people and us just kind of looking at each other and like acknowledging like we're going to die. We're all going to die. Not in a sad way, almost just in a like exclamation, ownership, this is our truth.
Yeah, like you just came to where
like
you realized.
It was like a dream I sort of had. And I was like, okay, so let's just explore that. So like on the theme of like leisure and trying, like, let's see what happens when you try to talk to people about death, like in the real world.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of like, I want to arrive at that place. It felt so good to imagine being in a group of like hundreds of people and just being like, we're all dying and just really like loving each other for that and like loving the moment. And so I started the podcast, and the first few conversations were just friends. Like, hey, will you come on and talk about death? Like, when did death show up for you? So now that it's become something else, I ask every guest, when did you first recognize death existed? That like some people go and never come back? Was it a pet? Was it earlier this week I had an interview and he mentioned like the seasons. Like that's for him as a child really realizing like the things.
So interesting.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I think we learn a lot about ourselves when we realize like how death was dealt with by those around us, by our culture, how we internalized it, and then how has it shown up since then? Do we stick to this pattern? And you know, in North America especially, like if this is kind of where a lot of your ancestors have grown up, decade after decade, and you don't really talk about death. It's very
You're
hidden.
So right.
What I think is really problematic that I'm also getting into sort of like educating myself on is the relationship between work culture and death. Because someone dies, your boss is like, cool, you can have a couple days off.
Literally, we were just talking about how you're given 2 bereavement days.
And then you're
like,
back.
So we're going to need you back 2 days.
Yeah.
Hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, and you got a lot to catch up on. Yeah, here's card.
Yeah, no one's doing the work while you're gone,
No.
so you're going to have a lot to do.
Not only that,
I know.
but like for anyone who has had a deep, big loss, first of all, the first 2 days, you don't even
You're
know
living
what you're in
fog.
You're in fog.
Yeah.
You don't know who you are anymore. You don't know what's going to happen. So I feel like that's really unkind. Like that's a really unkind societal thing that we've embedded in our systems. And so I don't know what that looks like, but I want to explore that by looking at other cultures. Like how do they like honor or acknowledge that someone's just had a significant mental, effect happen to them. And so, yeah, I think like death for all of us in North America, it's very like internalized. And so my hope with these conversations is that we begin to ask ourselves things. We talk to people differently. Like there's a couple things that I do kind of bring up with people that they can start. Like if you ask someone to write a will, it's actually really, that's a big one because you're asking them to imagine that they just died.
Yep. Yeah.
And also like what time of your life, it's just too big.
Yeah.
So, the other day I asked my brother who doesn't like talking about death, when mom or dad die, when one of them dies, do you want me to know first and tell you? Or do you want to know and tell me? And it was just a really tiny question.
I've never even thought of that as a question asked my brother.
And we were both like me. Like we want me to tell him, not he doesn't want to have to tell me.
Like, all right, I'll leave the one.
So because he doesn't want to talk about death, but that was a very like simple one sentence conversation. If he wanted to talk about it, we could. There's some workshops I have coming out that I'm really excited about. And one of them is sort of this list of people that you want to have come to your funeral. Like to really get you to sit with like who mattered most to me that I'd like to say goodbye to, but I might not get the chance. So like I want them to be there. Oh my gosh,
I love this. Yeah. So literally basically doing like a while we're alive funeral, like bringing the closest people and just saying the thing that we want to hear.
Yep.
I know. Yeah. So it's a bit of a left turn, but like while I'm here and thinking about it, something that actually occurred to me thinking about brothers and siblings is that there's two of us. So it's just my brother and I, and we're both not going to be here together at some point. Yeah. So that was really hard for me I think I was literally doing dishes when I had this full connection where I was like, oh my God, my brother's going to die or I'm going to die. And one of us is going to be at each other's funerals. Yeah. And that was a hard stop for me.
That's a really hard one, especially because you likely also imagined your parents were already dead. Right?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I mean, I guess you're right. I did. Yeah, I didn't get all the way through that.
One of you is just out here alone now.
Yeah. And my mom recently shared with me, so my Nana is in long-term care with advanced dementia, and we recently did a beautiful visit with her, but, there's this blanket of sadness around us because, anyone who's navigated dementia, it's a very liminal space because you feel like the person's gone, but they are here. And she said, I don't know what I'm going to do when my mom passes because I'll feel like an orphan.
Yeah.
I'll be a 64-year-old orphan. Like, I don't have my parents anymore. Like, what does that look like for somebody, right? And that was really hard to hear, too. In the car, I kind of just didn't even say anything. I was just like.
So imagine that. Like you can imagine, wow, that would be so awful. But the reality is there are so many orphan adults out there.
Yes.
And we just don't talk to each other.
Right. But if we did,
absolutely,
we could strengthen these connections and make sure that everybody feels okay.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
and you know what? I interviewed this woman. She wrote a book called This Party is Dead. And she traveled the world going to death festivals and celebrations around death. And through the conversation, which I already had some ideas of, it's really just like some parts of Europe and North America where we act like death is not a part of our everyday life.
Yeah.
Most of the people in this world, they celebrate their dead. They celebrate those people forever and always. And it's there's day-long, month-long, years. In some cultures, they actually unbury the dead and bring them out again. Yeah. There's so many ways that people continue to where to us, we're like, whoa, that sounds.
I know. I was a little that's a little Ed Gein for me, but but I get it and I understand it. And from my Western perspective, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
But I know enough to lean in where I'm like, okay,
tell me more.
Tell me more. Yeah. I really love that this is where we're ending up right now in the episode because my next question I had for you was how you see death and dying as part of the leisure spectrum, and you bring up celebrating and being there for people. So when we think about leisure as a spectrum, as an act of reflection, surrender, creativity, how does that fit with your experience with death?
Oh, that's such a great question. I think, when I spend leisure time with death, I'm really thinking about what do I want what do I want to do before I die?
Yeah.
Right? That like in that space, in that free space where there's nothing yet claimed, how do I want to get to the finish line?
I love that. And again, it goes back to like even that idea where you're bringing people together to say, hey, let's have a funeral now. Like, let's do it. I like that. And I like the whole concept of celebrations of life. I still think that the whole Western commodification of death, I don't feel good about.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were talking about the cost of dying. And like just to put on a funeral is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And my husband's like, I swear to God, when I die, please just cremate me and take me on a road trip and don't invite anyone. We don't need to do all the things because I think he's coming from it more of like an egotistical thing. Like I don't need a bunch of people to stand there and talk about me, but also to simplify. And it's such a great symbolism for living and being like, let's go back to the basics. Like we don't need to have this big hurrah and being like, he would have loved this. It's like, no, just take me to where I love to fish and throw me in the water, you know? And that's really cool.
I do want to mention too that one is the accessibility to funeral. You know, I had an amazing transformative conversation with someone who works with the unhoused population.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, what if you are living on the street and someone in your family dies and you don't know for a couple of years?
Oh my God.
What if you die? What happened? Like there's so many, and so then it really opened up like the social justice aspect of it.
I love that.
And how all these other systems that oppress us while we are alive, they also still oppress us when we die. So that's what I'm kind of at right now.
My whole body lit up.
Yeah. And what I also wanted to say about your husband is what a gift he gave you to be like, this is what I want when I die. Mm-hmm. Because we don't give that to our loved ones. And then someone dies and they're like, I don't know what they want. And we end up overspending because we want to honor them.
Yeah.
If we didn't just have a celebration and then get back to life, we could honor your husband every day of the year forever. It doesn't have to be this one thing. Right?
Yeah, I love that. And I know we don't have much time left. I mean, this episode has really just taken off and it's been such good conversation. So me opening up this next can might be a lot to dig into. So maybe we'll have to do a part 2. But something else that has come up because of our experience with my nanny and, you know, my aging mother and the fact that we're aging and every time I look in the mirror, I mean, I cannot escape it anymore. I'm literally like, I can see myself transforming where I'm like, holy crap, like I'm next in line for the throne. Like I will be the matriarch and like that is scary. And so maid came up. We've been talking a lot about that in my household and bringing my children into that conversation. And we recently just shared with our youngest what it was because she was like, what is that? And so for those who are still unfamiliar with maid, it's medically
assistance in death.
Thank you. Yeah. And so my husband and I have both shared with each other that if we are given, you know, a diagnosis or something that prohibits us from dying with dignity, that's how we'd like to honor each other. And I think we don't honor that enough. Yep. Like in Western culture, it's like, why are we not allowing ourselves to make that decision? Like, why are we prolonging the process? Like, let's just honor it and die. Like, it's not a bad thing. Like, I don't know. What's your take?
Yeah.
I mean, I know this is big.
It's so sensitive because
I know.
I actually thought that everyone would think like me.
I know. And I honestly thought so too. And as soon as I brought it up with a group of people, they were like, came at me. And I was like, oh, okay, we don't all think the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think if you are the person making the decision, there's one way to look at it. But then if you're the people who want that person to never die, it's very hard to, it's hard to accept that the person you love is going to die.
Yes.
And so it almost prevents you from seeing the benefits of them making that choice for themselves. And so there's been a lot of, conversations where maybe the children think like, my mom's being so selfish by choosing this, right? They're not cruel. They don't want their mom to suffer, but they're thinking, why would she leave me? Right. And who knows what else is mixed in with that.
It's very subjective.
Yeah. Whereas, the mom is like, I just don't want to be in pain anymore.
Right? Like, and I want to go. This was a great life. Thank you.
I want to go while I have my cognition and, it's my choice. So, I mean, we know there's a lot of heat around conversations around like the birth choice stuff,
Yes,
and there's
yes,
also a
yes.
lot around the death choice
Yes.
stuff. When it comes to
It's funny,
choosing
Choice
life
and autonomy. It's like
yeah, it's a deep thread.
I love that. Deep threat. I don't think I've actually ever phrased it that way. And you're so right. It is a deep threat. We'll just leave that there. Let that simmer there for people out listening. We're going to start to bring this full circle. And I do want to touch on the entrepreneurial piece for you. You've built a business around ideas that don't fit neatly in traditional boxes. What has this journey been like for you?
Yeah, I would say that networking events are very confusing.
My God,
which I'm sure you can relate to.
Every time I'm at one, I'm like, where do I
They're
even
like,
begin?
what do you do? You're like, and then I'm like, today I did this.
I actually love that. Let's break it down to the micro level.
This is what I did today. Tomorrow, other stuff.
Yeah.
So I think what I love about it is that I'm giving other people an example, right? I'm giving where I didn't have an example, where I felt like you got to pick one thing. Even today, I was like, what are we talking about? Because I was like, which category, which theme, right?
Yeah.
Is if my truth, if my purpose here is to, empower people to live their best life before they die and to do all the weird things, then I also have to not be boxed. And so I think entrepreneurship. Wow, that's
so good.
Yeah, I think,
love that.
there's not many other things that seem like unboxed about me, but my work life, it's seamless between my life and my work. It's all the same. I'm just living my life and I do work.
I love that you say that, because I don't think I've ever been able to put that into words. When people ask me like who I am here, who am I there, I'm like, I'm literally just living my life. Yeah. And the consistency with me, and I know this to be true for you too, is that all I make sure to honor is that I am always showing up authentically and values driven, and as much joy as I have that day, and being honest when I am not feeling so joyful. And it's all I can ask of myself and of others. Mm-hmm. But I stopped doing that, where I was like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm here. I'm just like, I'm cruising, man. Like, it's a good ride. Like,
having a good day.
This is a good day. Yeah. Like, this is a good life. I'm having fun. Like, am I having fun? Are you having fun?
I'm having so much fun.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so let's do one more question in the entrepreneurial category, and then I want to introduce you to our leisure rapid fire. Are you in for that?
I've never done one of these before.
Okay, it's super fun. But my last question for you is, how does leisure show up in your entrepreneurial life? Or how do you make space for your own rest and renewal?
So I'm a big fan of time blocking.
Okay.
I know that sounds great. That sounds like the opposite of like free and leisure, but I bake it into my time blocking, right? Yep. If I don't plan for it, there's two things that happen. One, I just play all day and the work doesn't get done, which I'm sure you can relate
also
to.
Guilty of.
Where it's just like, I'm going to start this little project and then who knows where the day went. And then the other thing is, or I get too much into work that all of a sudden the sun's down and I'm like, my body's
it's
cramped.
It's all or nothing with us,
right? When we're locked in, we're locked in.
Yeah.
So I think to ensure that I have both is I block the time for it. And I set so many timers a day, like probably some days like 20 or more timers, where it's just like, they might just say next, switch, like just something to kind of break me up from where I am.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We do teach here at JJRT when people ask us like, how do I plan for leisure? Because the one thing that we're very good at is our work ethic, but we're not so great with our leisure ethic. And so I say to them, well, just like you would schedule your work day, you have to schedule your leisure. And people laugh and they're like, oh my God, like I'm going to put that in the calendar. And I'm like, no, like I seriously, our work calendar, our day book for work says Wednesdays, Jessie, pickleball, do not book.
Yeah.
And I put pickleball. I used to just put unavailable. And I was like, damn it, no, I'm going to put pickleball because I want people to know that Jessie's out doing pickleball. And it's an honor thing. It's a sacred thing. Like that is my 2 hours that my family now knows every Wednesday. Nope, mommy's got this. She's not here tonight. Daddy's got dinner. And it's become very sacred where it's like, that's my time.
I love that. And you know what else it will do for you? If you block your leisure time, you will stop scrolling.
Oh.
Everyone listening scrolls. We all scroll. The second you get on there, but when you block your leisure time, you don't get to it and say, I'm going to scroll.
No, could you imagine booking like, this is my scroll time?
Well, I used to do that when I used to teach it. Yeah, I used to be like, put in your, because what happens is when you get there and you're like, check Facebook, you're like, this seems kind of ridiculous. But we do scrolling because we need a break.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you've given yourself leisure time and then you see that you spent it scrolling, you're going to be like, I got to come up with something better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And when I do immerse myself in the things that bring me true joy, I'll tell you one thing, I'm not scrolling.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I think it's bringing me joy.
Absolutely.
I'm literally like, ooh, real. Like, this is so fun. Look at another Boston Terrier.
Yeah.
But I'm not truly rejuvenating and restoring.
No. And it's not real deep connection. You think it is. Like, I sent some things to my friend.
Yeah, I do that a lot. But like, I get it.
Yeah.
I love this. Okay. Leisure Rapid Fire. That's our new song, just so everybody knows, okay? Let's close with our Leisure Rapid Fire segment. 3 quick questions to help us think differently about leisure and living.
Okay.
Ready? Yes. What's one leisure activity everyone should try at least once?
Shuffle dancing.
Oh my gosh. What's one mindset shift that could help people embrace leisure more fully?
Try it. You're going to die anyways.
Ooh, I love that. If you could redesign society to prioritize leisure, what's one thing you'd change?
You have to skip wherever you're going.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to do that on my way out to drumming.
Yep.
Okay. I thank you so much, Jenna. This has been
Jess.
fantastic.
It's been great.
You've shown us that leisure isn't about escape. It's about presence. It's about meeting life exactly as it is. It's about courage and compassion and sometimes a good laugh, and especially with people. For those listening, I invite you to reflect. Where in life can you make space to both laugh and grieve, to live more fully in the in-between? This has been the Leisure is Living podcast, where we explore art, science, and the soul of leisure. So to connect with Jenna Goodhand and her work, you're going to visit her at
JennaGoodhand.com.
I love that. Thank you very much. I'm your host, Jessie Jones. And until next time, remember, leisure is living because it reminds us that we're still alive. Ooh.